Welcome all. In this video, we will learn how you can Dockerize an Angular application in a production way. There are some prerequisites you need to download beforehand, before proceeding with the tutorial if you want to follow along with this video. So first tool is you have to install the Docker desktop if it's not already installed. If you want to know how you can install Docker desktop, you can watch my previous video. Then you also need Node CLI install. Always go with the LTS, long-term support, stable version. You can download this, install in your machine. And the third tool which is required is your Angular CLI. And we are going to create some sample Angular application. We are going to Dockerize that sample Angular application in a production base. And then how you can store that Angular application in a remote repository. For that, in my case, I'm using Docker Hub. So you also need to have Docker account, which you will have to create if you're going to download the Docker desktop. So without signing, it will not allow to download the Docker for Windows or Mac or for any Linux distribution. So these are the prerequisites you have to do it. So once you install that, you are ready to follow along with the rest of the video. Okay, so let's start and do the second step in our video, which is creating a sample application. So in order to create a sample application, first thing you have to do is just create a sample folder first. So now I will add a folder which I will create in my desktop for this particular tutorial. So let me name it as Angular Dockerize, and this is the folder I wanted to use as my workspace. So under this folder I want to run all my commands. So once you create this folder, go to terminal, open a new terminal. So under VS Code you will see your terminal started from this folder. So if the node and Angular CLI is installed, let me check whether I have the node or Angular CLI installed. In order to check the node installation, you have to use the command node -v. It will give the node version. And then next thing we have to check npm. So let's check npm is installed or not. In my case, so when you install node, the npm is auto installed. So in my case, npm is also installed for sure once this command returns a success message. And as you see, Docker desktop is already running in my machine. So let me just run any Angular command to check whether Angular CLI is installed or not. And it seems Angular CLI is installed in my machine. So let me run few commands in order to create a sample Angular application. As you see, the Angular is installed in my machine. As you can see, these are the commands I can use with ng. Ng stands for Angular. So let's start the creation of the sample application. First, let's create a new directory called Angular. Let's call Angular doc app. Right, so this is the directory. Let's go inside this directory and the doc app. Once you are inside this app directory, you have to use the command ng. ng stands for Angular. You see the command new here. New stands for create a new workspace and initial Angular application. So I'm going to create a new sample application. So ng new, and I'm going to give a name like sample app. Okay, and I'm just going to enter. So this will create a sample Angular application. So as you see, it's asking me for like I don't want any strictness, so I will say no. Angular routing, no, and I will simply go for the CSS. So it's asking for what kind of style sheet I wanted for my Angular application. I selected CSS. So these are a few options which it will prompt. You can select any one of those. As you can see, our sample application is ready. All the packages are installed successfully. Okay, so if you expand this folder Angular, you will see a sample application is getting created. See, inside this Angular doc app, you have your sample application. and that one single command has created all these files and it has installed all these application files in our sample app, and the name of our sample app is the sample app. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to go inside this sample application. So let's cd sample app. Once you are inside the sample app, so this is the directory it will look like. This is the path. You have to run the command ng angular serve -o for opening. So we want to serve this sample application, so it will open up in our browser right now. In my case, my default browser, it will open up in my default browser as a sample angular application. We can see what exactly our new application, sample application basically looks like. So currently is asking me whether I want to send any analytics to Angular. So I'll say no, I don't want to send anything. So it will open up in a couple of seconds. It will take a couple of seconds time. So as you can see, our application, sample Angular application is compiled successfully. Now we can open our sample application in a browser. So with that -o command, you can see it already opened up in a Chrome browser, and we can see our application is currently running on localhost 4200. 4200 is the Angular default port, and this is our sample application looks like. So our next step, we are going to deploy this particular sample application in a Docker container, and we are going to run this application from a Docker container. We will try to change the port number to something which is a standard or common. Okay, so now we come to our next part, which is we have to create a Docker image for this. So in order to create a Docker image, we must create the Docker file and specify the required steps to build the Docker image. So let's go in our project folder, which is like sample app we have here, and let's create a new file from this icon. Create new file, and let's name this new file as Dockerfile. Okay. So once you created a Dockerfile, the next part is we need to give the instruction to the Dockerfile, like how we want our Angular application to be built. And in this case, we are going to build our Angular application in a multi-build fashion, because this is going to be a production kind of setup. So I wanted to demonstrate how the production Docker images basically gets built or basically get built on. So we'll use Docker multi-stage build to create this optimized image. So it will be in the less size, and at the same time it can give the better functionality and efficiency. So in this process, like we'll start with the node image to build our Angular application, because in order to build our Angular application we need the node, and then copy the required file in the Nginx server image. Okay, so let's start our Docker multi-stage. So the first command will be the from node in order to build. So first we have to build our Angular application, and then we have to deploy our Angular application in a Nginx web server. Okay, so let's use the node, and I will use the node latest version of the node. I will use the icon. So if you are not sure, like which is the, in my case, like I'm not sure which is the latest version of node version. So I just wanted to check node Docker image. You can also search here. By the way, this will be Docker Hub, and as I can see, the most popular one is this one. This is the official one, and you see this one is the latest one. Okay, so 15.11. So let me use this one, this version, and this as a builder. So builder, I'm just giving a tag here, naming here. So this line basically will tell the Docker to pull the node image with tag 15.11.10 Alpine version of 3.10 base. And if the images don't exist, we are also giving a friendly name like builder to this image, so we can refer it later. Next part is we have to mention our work directory where our Angular application code is. So work directory will be user as a source and app, because this application will rely in the node user folder in the source under application, right? So this command will create the working directory in our Docker image. So going forward, any command will be run in the context of this directory. So inside the container, this particular directory will be the hosting location of our Angular application. Now the third command we have to use is the copy command. So let's write that: copy package.json package log.json to this. So this copy command will copy package.json and package log.json from our current directory to the root of our working directory inside a Docker container, which is this directory, user source app. That is going to be our root directory. The next command we have to use is run command, run npm install. The run command will restore node underscore module defined in our package.json. So basically this node underscore module, this particular command will create this node underscore folder inside our root directory, this one, because right now at this stage we are building our application. That's the reason we are passing all the building commands. Previously that ng command has run all this command for us. Right now we are doing it from the scratch. The next command we have to use, we have to copy this node underscore dot modules to our root container directory, which is the root directory. So we have to use copy command to from our current directory to this copy command, like copies all the files from our current directory to the container working directory. So this will copy all our source files, everything including the node underscore modules. The next command we have to use is the build command, because now after all the files are in a proper place. We have to build the command. So run command npm run build, and we want to build as a production setup, so we will also pass hyphen prod. So this command will build our Angular project in production mode and creates a production ready file in our distribution sample app folder, which I will show you in the later part. Okay, now this is the first part. So this is the builder part of our Docker image is ready. Next part we have to create is the web hosting part. So now we have to write our Dockerfile for our Nginx web server. Okay, so again we have to use the from keyword Nginx latest hyphen. Okay, and then this particular line will create a second stage Nginx container where we will copy the compile output from our build stage. So this first part is the build stage. This second part is going to be hosting stage. And the next command will be the copy, because we need to copy from the directory, like from the builder stage, right? Builder stage, where in the builder stage our files are under user source app and the dist folder app sample app, which is the name of our sample application, and then which inside this we have to copy to under Nginx folder. So under Nginx, where it will go under user share nginx.html, because all the HTML or the public code will go under this particular directory inside Nginx server. So this is the final command of our Dockerfile. This will copy the compiled Angular application from builder stage path to our user source app list sample app to Nginx container. That's it. So this is the Dockerfile. Basically, this is the final version of our Dockerfile, and this is how it will look. So the next part will be, we also need to, so right now what happened, whenever you will build this part, so all these node underscore modules will also be included, and because of that the image, the size of your Docker image will be increased a lot, because this folder will come like 400 or 500 MB. So in the production you should not have that long size Docker file images. So you also need to create one more file called dockerignore. So In our third part, we will create a file called dockerignore. Again, just go here and create a new file called dockerignore. So dockerignore file you have to create with dot in front. Then first you will write dot docker, and then you have to mention dockerignore. That's it. So this dockerignore file will be created. So why as I already mentioned this in my previously. So when you copy, you see this particular copy, right? Once you do the npm install, you will create this node underscore command. So this copy command execute, it will copy all the files in the host directory to the container working directory. If you want to ignore some folder like git or the node underscore module, we can define this folder in dockerignore file. Okay, so it is very simple. In dockerignore file, all we have to do is mention .git, and then we have to mention .underscore modules. Okay, and that's it. So basically, what are the modules we want to ignore, and that is the reason we are creating a dockerignore file. And that's it. And the next important part is now we have to build our docker file in order to create our docker images. So navigate to the folder. Okay. Now navigate to your application. Okay. And here do Ctrl+C. Let's stop this. So if you stop this, you will see your sample application will stop working right now. It will give you the error. You see, because there is nothing running on 4200, we have stopped it. So now we can use, as you see, our docker file is here, right? So we can now start running the build command. So we have to use docker build docker file, which is present in our current directory. Let's tag this as switch. I want to tag it my name and call sample app. Okay, so this command will look for a docker file in the current directory and create the image with the tag of my name and sample app. With -t command, you can specify the tag for the image. The default convention is like a username and then you give the image name, just like the format I followed here. I give the username switch and then I give the application image name. Okay, and then you just do enter, and your docker image, your docker build command will start, and it will start to create the docker image. Oh, so we got one error here. It says invalid argument. Okay. Oh, okay. So I think mistake. Okay. So all the repository names should be in the lowercase. As you see, your docker image is started building. I'll pause the video. So as you guys can see, our build is successful. Now we can see our docker image. So let's do the docker. We can find our sample app image is created with the tag latest here. So this is how the build process goes on. So the next part is, see, the size of this docker image is only 20 MB, but you see the Angular application is the overall size in our local machine. Let's open this folder. And so let's spin up a container from this docker image. Now to spin a container, I want to create a container from this docker image. We need to use the command docker run. So let's start docker run. The port we will use is port 3000 or any port, whichever you like. This port will be open up in your Docker container side, and then at the browser side, I want the port 80 to be open. Okay, and the image name is switch sample app. Okay, so before spinning our container, I want to show you the real size of the Docker of this entire application. So if you go to the Angular Dockerize, this dock app, sample app, and if we select all these files and go to show more details, okay, I think folder will, yeah, so we'll check this entire sample app by going to properties, and we'll check the size of it. You see the size of it is more than 20 MB for sure. Let it load. See, size of this app is more than 20 MB, but as you can see in Docker image, this has only 20 MB. So let's spin up the Docker container right now. So I use the docker run -p flag publishes all exposed ports to the host interface. So we are publishing container port 80 to host 3000. So when we open our browser and we go to localhost 3000, we can able to see the application. So let's spin up the container. So let's wait a couple of minutes till the time container gets created. As you can see, the Docker container is spin up. So if the Docker plugin is installed, you can see the container spin up in your plugin. Basically, it will show you the number of containers are running. So I have the one container which is in the running state. You want to check what are the containers are available or running right now. I can use the command docker ps. You see the one container is running. Okay, so the next part we have to do is we have to go to the browser, go localhost, and then just run 3000. So this will open up the Nginx container. Now to see your container is running, you can also check here. One of the container I created and one of the container is running right now. So there are two containers running with the same application. Okay, so the next most important part which you do in a production, so that in your company other teams can also use the image which you have created, this particular Docker image, is that you push this particular image to a Docker hub or any image repository. In our case, we are going to use the Docker hub. So in order to push Docker hub, first thing you have to log in to the Docker hub. So let's use the command docker login. So it will ask you for the username and the password. Okay, so it will ask for the username, and then you have to use your username. In my case, my username is SIDDZ and the password. And then you can push this particular image to Docker by using the command docker push the username, which is sid, and the file name, which is sample app. Okay, and by this way you can push to the remote repository. So as you see, Docker, this particular image is getting pushed to the remote repository in my account. So if I go here and if I show you my Docker hub account, you see this image is pushed right now, all these layers. And if we check here, you will see, go to under repositories, you see there are no repositories right now. So our image is getting pushed, you see. And if I refresh this right now, I should see this is sample app repository here right now. So this particular image, so it is right now public, so you can also make this private. All you have to do is select the repository, go to the settings and make it private, so that only people in your company or people you want to share this particular image, they can only able to use it. So that is how you can make this. And if you go to the repository right now, you will see it's the private image right now. So this is it for this video. If you enjoy this video and this is the how you do deployment of any application in production. This is all the steps you have to do in order to deploy your application through the Docker containers. And at the same time, if you want this images Docker containers to be shared across your team or across your organization, these are the steps, right? So if you like this video, if you have follow along with this video, then congratulations, you have successfully did something which is very common day-to-day task of any DevOps engineer. Okay, so show me your appreciation, like this video, subscribe to the channel for the more upcoming videos. Thank you guys, thank you for watching.